Now, it must be said, the next game we're going to talk about is probably the most hyped fighter, I would say, in the Australian gaming scene. That's not just the fighting game scene, that's the wider gaming scene. And that, of course, is Mortal Kombat X. So Mortal Kombat, obviously the long-running franchise, they finally got to the point where they can chuck a 10 on the end and reasonably say that that's a thing. It's interesting that it's built on from MK9. Like, there was a lot of things they did in MK9 that they've carried over into this. All just comes down to how well they've done it.
Yeah, that's right. And like, this is one of those games that because they've put so much hype into it, they've had the lead-in campaign, they've had videos, they've had people doing, speeches and YouTube videos and et cetera, that the payoff is important for them. It's clear they're making a big push into the fighting game community. They're representing themselves at a lot of these events now.
BAM 7.
BAM 7. Mm-hmm. And, it is about the payoff. And it's interesting to see that in a sort of pure fighting game sense, I think that there has been a lot of positives. But the rest of the package, which was always a big part of what the reboot was about,
correct, has
become a very contentious issue for a lot of people.
And that is genuinely it. I think as a fighting game, it looks schmick. The presentation is there. Some of the changes they've made to the actual fighting itself, like being able to pick one of 3 styles, like
for each character.
Yeah. So instead of picking one of 3 specials, like we've done for Capcom games for many years and things like that, you literally pick one of 3 styles, which gives you access to certain super moves, gives you access to certain combos, certain abilities, stuff like that. And I think it really adds a level of versatility to the game that it may have been lacking previously.
That's right, yeah. And it means that certain characters can have a bit more flexibility. You don't get stuck with, the green arrows.
I've got no range option.
Exactly.
It eliminates things like that. On the flip side of that, though, MK9's story was great. It was pretty well told. It gave you a good chance to play everyone, feel them out, learn all the new characters. This game introduces 7, 8 new characters.
A lot.
Do you give a crap about any of them?
I can remember one of their names. No, I can't.
Yeah. I like the cowboy because he's a cowboy. And that's basically the crux of this story. They don't explain these people. They don't make you feel for them. They just exist. And then they try and tack it on to the end of MK9's story. It's a mess. Yeah. It's enjoyable if you want to try the new characters and test them out, but even then, you're better off going to training.
But it is worth noting that it is very well choreographed and it's quite entertaining to watch.
Yes.
So from a pure popcorn perspective, and for someone like me who's come into it not knowing the previous story, I enjoyed it, albeit invested nothing into it.
Correct. So I guess when it comes down to it, the fighting is still there in spades. They've improved it, if anything. It's not quite as cheap and spammy as it was. The story is a bit meh. The crypt is back. The towers, which is your arcade mode, are still good, and they've got updatable towers that come up every week. As a non-MK fan, what do you reckon?
This is the first game by NetherRealm that has actually made me want to play it and get involved with the community. So definite plus there. But as a single player experience, depends on your internet connection, I would say.
That's true.